Rich and grand rising to everybody. Just some random thoughts I had, man. I'm out on the skateboard. This kind of a extended skateboard series usually is a short, but I had unfortunately I had a passing, a death in my family. My Uncle Charles, and his funeral services are today back in Detroit. And I was gonna go to the funeral, but I kind of changed my mind. I'm getting to the point where I don't really like going to funerals. I really don't like attending it for a number of reasons, and it's definitely not because I don't honor the person and don't want to pay my respects to the person and support the family as we support each other through this loss. And I know it's tough for anybody to go. Uncle Charles was in his 90s, so he lived quite a long and full life. Charles Bowles, a great musician, great guy. But the reason I don't like to attend funerals is, and just give me a minute to break this down. The reason I don't like to attend funerals is I don't understand the tradition. I don't understand the traditions. Like, we do so many things out of tradition, and it's just what we do, but we don't realize what the hell we're doing. Like, why the hell would I want to be in the room with the dead body? Like, why is the body sitting up there in the casket and everybody says he looks good when he doesn't look good? He looks dead with makeup on, and that's not how I want to remember my uncle or anybody that I've loved and known and had many conversations and laughs with. Why do I want to see them lying up there dead and walk, and then not only see them in there dead, but now everybody has to walk up there and look at them in the face as if you're saying bye to that shell of a corpse of a body? That just doesn't make sense to me. Uncle Charles was a musician. I want to see him him playing a concert. And let's laugh and talk about that, so I really don't like the tradition of funerals, and it's really emotional for me because I've had several people. I remember my dad passed several years ago, many years ago now. I can't remember, but I remember having a conversation with him, this same conversation I'm having right now, and him saying, yeah, why would they do that? Like he said, I want to be cremated. He said this to my face, I want to be cremated. But once he died, and the emotion and everything, you know what I'm saying, happened so fast, and it's like all this stuff you have to do and make the plans and make arrangements. So sure enough, we had a funeral and a casket, and he's buried and all of that stuff. But we talked about him wanting to be cremated. I definitely want to be cremated. I'm going to be pissed if my family, whoever at the time, whenever I pass, hopefully no time soon, I don't want my body laying up there. You put on a tape of me playing basketball. You put on a tape of me talking like this, and let that be how people remember me, and let that be the way they pay their respects and say goodbye to me. I don't want my body laying up there in the box, my dead ass body. I remember at my dad's funeral, I kissed his body. I kissed the, I kissed the corpse. Just because I was, emotional when I kissed it, and it was so cold, that body was cold, and it just wasn't, he wasn't there. That's not him. He's gone, his spirit is gone. So why not honor the spirit? That's just how I feel about funerals. And while I'm on the note, I want to say, pay respects and rest in peace to one of my dear friends, Roxanne Moore. She died, I'm sorry, that's not her name. Roxanne, I forget her married name, I'm sorry, but no disrespect to her, but my dear friend Roxanne, she passed away, and I had this same dilemma. I was in Detroit at the time of her funeral, and I knew she was having it, but I really didn't want to be the family hour. And you can go view the viewing. They call it a viewing. You go view a body. Why do we want to go look at a dead body? It's really a stupid tradition, man. And I'm at the point, man, where I'm tired of doing shit that I don't want to do, or shit that I think is stupid. I don't want to partake in it. And I think we have this sheepish society where we just do, this is what we do. We're doing stuff out of tradition and we don't even understand why. It doesn't make any sense. So I do want to say rest in peace to my Uncle Charles. I want to say rest in peace to Roxanne, my dear friend. I want to say rest in peace to Amp Fiddler. Now Amp Fiddler's having his services today, but he's having a memorial service. And he passed away a couple months ago, and he's having a memorial service. And I much rather appreciate that. I think that makes much more sense because a lot of the emotion is gone. I remember this to honor all of my, let's just make this video to honor all of my ancestors and ancestry. But I remember my cousin Dre, Doogie, died. And he had, of course, a traditional funeral, body in the front. But when they closed his casket, this feeling of this sadness just fell into the room. It was so sad. I mean, it was sad, and people were crying and running out. I mean, it was so much emotion, I could barely take it. Like, everybody broke at that moment. You know what I'm saying? How you doing, man? So, yeah, so everybody just broke down, and the emotion that filled the room, it was an awful feeling, man. It was terrible. But when you have a memorial service, you don't have that kind of the emotion. You get to get your cries out. You get to kind of grieve. You have a period of grief, and maybe a month or two later, now you have a memorial service where people are just remembering and they tell stories and everybody laughs, and it's not so sad and dramatic. And I think that's a ritual. The funeral is a ritual that makes people sad. Almost, in my, what the layman would call conspiracy theorist type of mind, I think they do this type of thing on purpose. This ritual is to keep us in this mind state of sadness and to not properly respect the cycle of life. It makes it so sad, man. So I am gonna miss that funeral, and I'm gonna miss Amp's thing, but I do want to pay respect to everybody, man. Shout out to all of them. And thank y'all for listening, man. I think that ultimately, y'all, we have to stop doing stuff out of tradition and make our own traditions. So even as my kids and my family see this, man, don't let them put me in a box up there in the front of and everybody walk and see a dead body. Wait a couple months and have a memorial service and talk about the good shit I did and the jumpers I hit and the books that I wrote and blah, you know what I'm saying? Let's talk about good things after I'm dead and gone. And I hope we can just break traditions and do things our own way, make our own traditions. Stop doing stuff status quo just because that's what everybody does. If everybody's doing it, we need to reconsider it. You know what I'm saying? I talked earlier about Roxanne. I think we had this conversation too. She didn't want to be in the box. I know I've had this conversation with a lot of people, like how dumb I think a funeral is, but then people die and we do the same thing. And just one last note while I'm on it. I know this video is going long. I'm sorry, bear with me. But not only that, y'all, this is the other reason. Getting back to me, this is the real reason, another reason I really despise funerals. Okay, especially in my community, my people. So somebody dies, Uncle Charles dies. They're gonna have a repast. I'm not even going, but I can tell you what they're gonna have. They're gonna have a repast. There's gonna be fried chicken. There's gonna be ribs, maybe, probably some nasty green beans, overcooked and nasty. But we had these repasts. People die, they have a heart problem. We had these repasts and served nothing but cholesterol-filled chicken and fried chicken and soul food. And now all of these elderly people are gonna be in there. How you doing? Good. Now these elderly people are gonna be in there eating this shit that's making them sick, that's creating that's feeding for the next funeral, man. We're feeding people for the next damn funeral. And how dumb is that? Every funeral we had a repast and had the same damn fried chicken. And it's just ridiculous, man. And we got to do better, man. We got to do better. And we got to be able to break traditions, man, and get out of this same old shit that we've been doing. And we just do it because it's passed down to us. So that's another one of my beefs I have with the funeral. No pun intended, but rest in peace to Uncle Charles, to Roxanne, to Amp Fiddler, a great musician, his own self. And rest in power. Y'all ancestors now, help me down here, man. Give me some help. Give me a hug from above. Shout out to my family. I love y'all. I wish I could be there just to see everybody and hug everybody and all of that. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention one last gripe I have about funerals, and that is usually they're held at churches or they're conducted by a pastor. Now, the person who passed might not have attended that church, might not have attended any damn church at all. Might not be a church person. Sorry, pardon me. Might not be a church person at all. But, of course, the pastor is going to say he accepted Christ in his life. And the people sitting in the audience might think, man, this nigga was a drug dealer, a killer, and everything else. He didn't think about Christ. But the pastor's going to say he accepted Christ as his savior and blah, blah, blah. So that's a pet peeve of mine. But on top of that, then to add on to that, the pastor is going to turn the pulpit and turn it into a chance to preach. And he's going to give a full sermon then. And a lot of times, like in the case of my dad, they didn't even know, the person might not even know the person that well or know much about him, you know? So that's just another thing that the pastors use it as a way to start shouting and open a Bible verse and all of that. And the person might not even have been about that. So that's another reason I don't like to attend, because it's inauthentic in that way. Not to mention the exorbitant prices and everything, man. I just think it's a bad tradition overall. So I'll be remiss if I didn't mention that, so I had to come back and just mention that to you. So that's my take on the funerals versus memorial service. I always would choose the memorial service because of the less emotion, the less religion, and it's more about the person, authentically about the person and about their life and their accomplishments. And that's what the focus is. And it's more of a celebratory thing and not such a sad occurrence. So peace and love, y'all. Thanks for listening. I appreciate the audience. I appreciate the ear. And I appreciate the love. Feel free to comment, like, subscribe, join, do all of that. All right? All right. Peace and love, y'all. Peace.